Hello guys, and welcome to my first video, my first voiceover. First I'll show you all the things you need. And the first thing you need is Floetrol. Floetrol I use to condition the paints and make them flow better on the painting. The second thing you need is cups to mix them in. Could be plastic cups, paper cups, depending what you have in your house. Then you need silicone. At least I use silicone oil, 100% silicone oil. This one is used for fitness equipment. Make sure it's only silicone oil. I use silicone spray as well, but I'll show you that in another video because you need that for the pouring. And the last thing you need is the water. It says acrylic for dinner, but there's water in there, and it's the three things I use for my paints. Speaking about paints, that's what you need as well for this video. Before we start, I'm gonna show you different kinds of paints in this video. I have cheaper paints, expensive paints, and metallic paints. This way I can show you how to get the best consistency for your paintings depending on which paint you use or which paint is available to you in your country. I have different kinds of paints: cheap, expensive, metallics, pearlescents, everything like that. And lastly, I almost forgot, you need the sticks because you need to stir in the cup, and I use these ones. Use whatever you feel comfortable using. I'll first start showing you how I use the more expensive paints, how I mix them, because they are more pigmented. Usually that's why they are more thicker in consistency than other paints. I first pour in Floetrol, and it's handy if you have a cup that has stripes on the side or some way of measuring it, because I usually use about 5 parts Floetrol to 3 parts paint. I don't really weigh it or something, I just look at it and see if it's right. I'll show you in a bit. This is how much Floetrol I put in the cup. That's when I add the paint. I just look at the stripe that is at right now, and then I just squeeze it in there, and then I look how much higher it went up. So again, 5 parts Floetrol and 3 parts paint for this one. On the left with the paint, and on the right just the Floetrol. Then you get your stick and you just swirl it around, mix it, make sure all the Floetrol gets in the paint. Sometimes the consistency is a bit too thick, and that's why I add water, because I want a consistency like pancake batter, and that I'll show you as well. So here I add the water. Just add the water little by little, because you don't want to use too much water, because then the paint is too fluid. And you can put back more paint to make the consistency even thicker again, but it's better to add little by little, and eventually you get the hang of it and you know how much water you need. You can see me test the consistency by taking the stick out and see how it drips off the stick. When you get the consistency you want, it just flows off the stick really easily. This is the point where I see that I have the consistency I want. Even by swirling I can see that this is the consistency I want. And it's not too thick, not too thin. I'll turn on some lamp in a minute, and you can see how it pours back into the cup from the stick. It leaves a little mound in the cup. It's like a mound on a mound. That's exactly how I want it. This is the consistency that flows best on the painting and gets the best cells. You can already see the cup is almost full. I'll show you on the side how much there's in there right now. And that's because of the water, the Floetrol and the paint. This is the part where I put silicone in the cup. I do about 3 to 4 drops. I try to show you in sign language. It depends on how much paint is in the cup, how much cells I want. Just don't do it too much. Well, if you like a lot of cells, you do it too much. But it's better just to do a few first and then see if it works for you. If you need more, you can always add more. You can't take something out. So I mix it well because I want my silicone spread out through the paint and not in one big blob. And now I'll show you how I mix metallic paints. I use Acrylic paint for this one. It's different than normal paint because metallics react really funny to silicone, and keeping the form in cells in metallic is really hard. So what you want to do is make it a bit thicker than you normally would. I do use more floetrol than water in this mix. That's because floetrol conditions the paint, and water basically dilutes it, and metallics are made out of little particles that reflect, and you don't want to dilute that, you just want to condition it. So I use more floetrol, the same amount of paint, so 5 parts floetrol, 3 parts paint, and then I mix it. And you can see it's already thick, so I do add a little bit of water, but I try to keep my metallics thicker and consistency than the other paints. After mixing it, I test the paint again and take the stick out and see how it falls, and you can see it is a bit thicker consistency than the other paint. It does leave a mountain amount when you pour it in. I'll show you by getting the other paint. This one is a bit more liquid. I turn on the light. And you see it flows a bit faster and it leaves less mounts. Same step as last time. After mixing the paint, you add the silicone again. Don't use too much silicone in metallics. Just use like 1 or 2 drops, and that's enough. I don't know if you can see it, but it already reacts when you pour it in. Metallics just, yeah, they flow differently. And now on to the cheaper paints. They contain less pigment. They usually aren't that thick of a consistency. You need less floetrol with it, less water with it. If you dilute it too much, you lose the color of the paint. I mix these paints mostly 1 part to 1 part. Well, I show you here 3 stripes of floetrol, 3 stripes of paint. Sometimes I even use more paint than floetrol or water, because the cheaper paints I already have the right consistency. Again, I test the consistency. I look for the amount on amount, and as you can see, I've used less paint, less floetrol, less water, and it drips but it flows. And again, I add silicone 3 to 4 drops, same as the expensive paint, because it got the same consistency. Always look how much paint you have in a cup and how much drops you need. As last part of this video, I want to show you how you can make your own colors and mix it. I do this very often. I like to make my own turquoise, and I'll show you here. I use the same amount of Floetrol that I use in expensive paints, because I'm gonna mix multiple colors together in the Floetrol. Like I said earlier, I really don't measure things. I just know which colors will make which color, so I just squeeze some colors in the Floetrol. I don't really measure the amount. If I don't like the color, I'll add a different paint to it. Here I add some white because I don't like the color. I want it a bit lighter, so I just add it before I add the water. And when I like the color, that's when I start adding the water and make the consistency better. Again, I test it. I add just a little bit of water, like the tiniest bit, to get a better consistency. And here I show you again. Here you can clearly see the amount in the cup, and that's what I want. I want it to flow off the stick and leave amount in the cup. This is the end of the video of how to mix paints. Thank you for watching. I hope the tutorial was helpful to you. If you have any questions, just ask them in the comments or find me on Instagram. I'm always, most of the time, online to help. After this, I will make videos on how I do pours. I'll show you some different pours and things that happen in the order you do the paints in your dirty cup. Thanks again, and please subscribe to my channel so you can see all the other videos that are coming out about acrylic pouring. Thank you very much, and sorry about my awkward Dutch accent.